There are two things that you need to be able to excel in Rocket League. One of them is a mastery of the game mechanics, so that you can successfully execute plays during a game, obviously. But the second thing you need has nothing to do with in-game skill. No, the second thing that you need to be successful in Rocket League is a strong mental game. So many players lack the skills needed to keep themselves from getting tilted during a gaming session. So today, we will learn the keys to preventing tilt and keeping our mental strong, so that we can put our best foot forward in every game we play. Now, the mental side of Rocket League is not a new topic by any means. Players have known that a strong mental game was the key to success pretty much since this game has come out. Over the years, mental game has been talked about quite a bit, but a large portion of this conversation revolves around how to keep yourself from getting tilted in the first place, with tips such as don't worry about your rank, play to learn, don't play to win, don't focus on the results of individual games, don't worry about your teammates. These are all things that I myself have talked about in the past. But the issue with these tips is they don't do you much good if you are already heading toward Tiltland. So, we may know that we should not care about the result of one game, but it can be pretty hard to not get down on ourselves when we have just lost a 15-minute long overtime. So, rather than rehashing tips that have already been discussed as much as they possibly can be, today we are going to discuss the keys to refocusing yourself after you find yourself in a bad mental state. What can you do to get the train back on track? The first thing that I do not think players do enough of is utilizing time. So often a goal will be scored and everyone in the lobby immediately skips the replay, or a game will come to an end and we immediately queue up for another. That is great when we are playing with positive momentum and we want to keep it rolling along, but not so much when things are going against us. When things are going wrong, it can be very useful to take a few moments and try to recollect ourselves, whether that be the few seconds during a replay after a goal, or the full minute after a game has ended before queuing another. This gives us time to relax and refocus ourselves on what we need to do to be successful. It can also help to get us to let go of a bad thing that had just happened. If we gave up a goal in a horrendous fashion, it is very possible that if we skip the replay, we will be in the middle of the next passage of play with the mistake still lingering in the back of our minds. So don't be afraid to use all the time the game gives you to refocus yourself, and let go of anything bad that has happened. It will give you a refreshed feeling going into the next play or the next match. While we are in the middle of a gaming session, we do not normally stand up unless we have to get up to do something. However, if you find that you are getting tilted or frustrated by the game, just try getting up and moving around. Physically leave the room that you are playing in for a minute or two, and allow your mind to be taken out of the mindset it was in while in game. Do some stretches to loosen up any tightness you might be feeling. Doing this will allow you to come back refreshed to jump into it again. The Pro Rocket League team Endpoint was quite well known for doing this during their timeouts in the 21-22 RLCS season. It was a way for them to reset themselves before jumping into the next game, and they had fantastic results with it. So, if you find yourself in a bad mental state, try to remove yourself completely from the situation, and you may find better results. Now onto some things you can try to do to reset your mental in-game. The first one will have to do with finding yourself struggling and getting tilted in an individual game. Maybe you have had a couple of goals go against you early on, and now you have quite the hole to dig yourself out of. That is definitely a frustrating situation that we have all been in. But in that situation, too many players look at a game that is quickly getting out of hand and immediately put their head down and wait for the clock to hit 3:30 so that they can forfeit. And doing this is not good for your mental or your gameplay. As soon as your mental goes out the window, the quality of your play goes with it. So instead of thinking that a game is totally lost, I would recommend trying the little trick of telling yourself that the goal is not to win the whole game, but rather to win the next minute of the game. And doing this breaks the game into smaller chunks that you can focus on one at a time. If you can get yourself back on track and focus on just winning the next part of the game, rather than the entire game, you would be surprised at how quickly you can erase a rather large deficit, or at the very least, bring the game back into a competitive state. If you find yourself down by multiple goals early, winning the next couple of minutes can go a long way to winning the game as a whole. This one is very simple, but can be extremely effective. Let's say you are getting tilted in the 2v2 playlist, but you really don't want to get off the game. If you have tried some of the previously mentioned ideas and they haven't worked, try changing the way you are playing the game. Maybe go from 2s to 3s. Or if you really want to change it up, go to one of the extra mode playlists where you probably don't care about your rank as much. The extra modes can be a great way to remind yourself that Rocket League is a video game that you are meant to have fun while playing. They can be a great tool to keep yourself from staying tilted. The last item on our list is less of a way to defeat tilt and more of a way to prevent your tilt from making you even more tilted. Many players, myself included, when finding themselves on a losing streak, will continue to queue until they win back some random number of games they think they deserve. This often results in a massive MMR drop as you start out on a losing streak, so you get tilted. But then, because you're tilted, you keep losing. And it is just an endless cycle that ends once a large amount of MMR has been lost. I would recommend that you limit the amount of games you are going to play when you start playing. But if you don't want to do that, I would advise setting a remaining amount of games if you see you are starting to lose a little too much. A safe idea would be to say, if I lose 3 games in a row, I will only play a best of 3 series after that. This way you can only end up at -5 games of MMR at absolute worst. And you don't continue to throw away your MMR by tilt queuing. Another great way I've seen to limit games you can lose is to give yourself 3 lives to start your session. If you lose a game, you lose a life. If you win 2 games in a row, you gain a life back. Once you lose all 3 lives, you either get off the game or change the playlist. This system does a great job of limiting how many games you can lose and makes it so that you never find yourself tilt queuing, as if you lose 3 games in a row, you are already off. So give these ideas a try if you find yourself having an issue with queuing a little too much once you start losing. And that will just about wrap it up for the keys to a strong mental game. Using the techniques listed here, you will be able to keep your mental strong even when things are not going your way. Of course, if you guys do enjoy videos like this, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below this video so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. Additionally, if you'd like to be more involved in this community, please consider joining my Discord, link down in the description below. So thank you everybody so much for watching, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.